Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Hump Day Hotline,
Hump
brought to you
Day.
by Victor Endel and Elmer Eye Care on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Mike, I can't do it anymore. I used to be able to do that Mike thing so well. It's such a bittersweet victory. It's a bittersweet symphony, I think, is actually what the song says, Bruce. But it's so good to have everybody with us on this Victory Wednesday. Welcome to everybody who is jumping into the comments section, who is joining us live. Thank you to everybody that is going to download this in a podcast version and listen to it without the video, without mine and Jay Spencer King's pretty faces. But it is so good to have everybody joining us. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That over there is my co-host,
Jay Spencer King. You can find me on Twitter or whatever, all of them at Jay Spencer King. I'm everywhere. We like that.
So let's
I'm not.
let's just dive. Well, do you want to just dive right into it, or do you want to start someplace else?
There's just yes, but I just
This is a family show. Pause.
yeah, let's just jump right into it, man.
I know you said
something.
I know you said something about just my trip. Was there anything in particular about my trip you wanted to hear about? Because
No, I mean it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, you and I have not talked about my trip necessarily.
Yeah, you've been gone. I know you've gotten a chance to talk about it on your show, and then you talk to the big guy about it. So but I haven't personally talked to. We've texted here and there, but we haven't talked. So tell me a little, just some highlights. Just we don't have to talk too long about it. I know you've already shared, but
well, as everybody already knows, if you're following me on social media, we walked 72 miles in 9 days, which is absolutely incredibly insane. I am 9 days of walking that much. I find myself now hungry all the time that I'm not walking 9 days. So something has happened with my metabolism, which is interesting. The food was great. The sights we saw were amazing. To make it relevant to this show, Hotspur Stadium is incredible. I know there's aspects of what we're building that are similar to it. It's not going to be identical, but from all of the renderings we have seen, the inside of the stadium was very similar, and we will be happy. However, there were no armrests and there were no cup holders, at least in the section I was in, and I was down pretty close. I was row 3, corner end zone. So that might be a little bit concerning. But I also heard that in Premier League soccer, they're not allowed to drink beer at their seats. They have to drink their beers in the concourse and cannot bring them down to the seats. So that might be why there was no cup holders. But I would tell everybody that I never really had a desire to go to Europe, like, oh my God, I got to get to Europe, like the way you do about Hawaii, right? Hawaii is like, I got to get to Hawaii. Like Europe was like, oh, it'd be cool to go. So this was a reason to go. And I would tell you that I loved every single minute of it. If anybody has the ability to go, you should, and I can help you not make some mistakes that I made. See, Sarah was in the good seats. So, yeah, I did not have a couple. I wonder if it was because I was too close. I don't even know. Maybe that's why. But is the seating sized for Americans? The ones that I sat in were not. That is a very good point, though. My wife, literally in Ireland, and England and Paris, was like, every obese person I see is an American. Like, there's not really a whole lot of like large folk over there. So yeah, we'll see. But the trip was incredible. Ireland was amazing. Driving on the wrong side of the road was amazing. London was cool. I don't know that I would go back to London, but there was a lot of amazing things we saw in London. And then Paris was kind of, I mean, Paris, the city of romance, right, is what they say. It was kind of trashy. So I mean,
I was waiting. I was going to ask. Like every time that I kind of look to go and I go and watch reviews, it's like, I don't know if I really want to go. So it's interesting you say that, man. Like everybody talks like it's the perfect place.
It's so Ireland was wildly clean. There was no trash anywhere. There was every other store or every other door was a bar. There was no cops anywhere. There was nothing. London was about half of that with cops, right? So which was cool, and a bazillion people. Like it was incredibly, like the amount of people was overwhelming. And then Paris was graffiti. Like imagine walking around, like Ireland to Paris was the difference between walking around Niagara Falls on the Canadian side and walking around Niagara Falls on the US side. And that's the easiest way that I can describe it. Like the grass wasn't cut, the sidewalks were cracked, there was just trash everywhere, there was graffiti on stuff. by about day 2, you begin to understand the beauty and realize the beauty of Paris. And a lot of it is in the age and how they've built that city and kind of what's happened. The Eiffel Tower is incredible, but at the end of the day, it's a giant steel tower. It's not like the Giant's Causeway in Ireland. It's not like the Tower of London in London. It's a giant steel tower. There's other things that you're just like, whoa, like that painting was painted in 1200. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, but yeah, the trip was amazing. The only downside was the Bills not winning that football game and 60,000 people walking down the same street to get to the same train station. That was crappy. But other than that,
man,
yeah, the trip was amazing. The trip was
so that last part there was, so what's worse, like leaving Highmark right now with less parking after a primetime game, or
that's hard because I don't live in that world. So I parked for this Giants game on the right side of Southwestern, heading east on Southwestern before Abbott, right? So right there, similar to right near where Louis Hot Dogs is where I parked.
Yep.
So we got back to my truck. McKenna and I did. I pulled left, because there's no traffic coming that direction because everybody's going the other way. I pulled left and I was home in about 14 minutes.
Okay. Well,
but that's because I live in Hamburg. If you live in Williamsville, your experience is completely
a whole different.
And it's like the time that we went to the home opener against Pittsburgh and we were trapped, right? We went down there and parked and they had Abbott closed. God, yeah. And then when they did open it, Abbott was just a parking lot. And we sat there for 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, just waiting to move, and we couldn't get out. So I'll never do that again. I'll never park there that close. That was, I'll walk the mile, right? And go to tailgates. But yeah, absolutely incredible. If you or anybody else gets the chance to go, don't take an Uber across London because that takes about 2.5 hours. Take the tubes. Nobody told me about the tubes. I didn't know anything about tubes, and it's literally just tap and go. So you literally just use your credit card, tap the thing, and it marks that you're here. And then when you tap, when you go out, so it's like, oh, you went from here to here. It's done. And my understanding is Thales, the company that I work for, actually, this is wrong jacket. The company that I work for actually did that whole transportation system in London, which is really kind of cool. So yeah.
Okay, learned something new. So that way, hey, don't Uber over there, guys.
Don't Uber. Paris is just as bad. This is a fun story. So sorry everybody that's here for Bills content. We got off the plane at Heathrow Airport. 22 miles to our hotel, not a big deal. Call an Uber. It was $98. And I was like, that seems like a lot, but we're going to pay it, right? I don't have a car. 2.5 hours later, we finally get there. No interstates downtown London. None. There's no interstates in London at all. We got in another Uber later that night, and we were telling that driver about it. And he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, it's impossible to get across. He goes, you should have taken the tubes, which was great. And then we were like, the U.S. isn't that way. And he's like, what do you mean? We're like, there's interstates in the city, in this, all of the cities in the States. He goes, no. He's arguing with us. We're like, yes. He goes, you mean 2-lane, interstate, or 3-lane, 4-lane, 5-lane interstates downtown, and not downtown,
downtown, bro. In every city,
but our cities also weren't built in 1100,
right?
Right. So it's just
that's different.
Yeah, a little bit different. So Paris the same way. My parents went to Rome. They said Rome is the same way, all the same way. It's just, it's wild. So anyways, let's talk football. As I'm trying to
let's get to it.
Get my voice. Yeah. So sorry about that. Sorry, everybody. I could talk for hours about the trip, and I'm sure Sarah could too, and so could anybody else that was there. It was pretty amazing. And it was great to go to the Bills backer stuff and and hang out with people from the other side of the world that have been Bills fans that we kind of interconnected with and have been chatting with for a long time. So I did not get to see Saxa Dave though. So I was upset about that, but it's all right.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. So welcome to everybody who has joined us as we took about 10 minutes of your life that you can't get back. But we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills, and we're going to talk a little bit about this Giants football game. And then we're going to press into the injury report. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Patriots game that is forthcoming. I feel like regarding the Giants game, so the rewatch for me was big. The difference between being in the stadium and rewatching it. Now, you don't get to share that same experience. I would love to know if Sarah feels the same way, having been there, and then the rewatch, because the rewatch didn't feel as bad to me as the actual sitting through the game in the stadium. I told John on Monday that a lot of that I thought maybe was due to the crowd. Even the crowd was a little bit weird. The crowd was louder in London than it was for the Giants game, up until the point where the third quarter, where even Mike Tirico on TV said, "Oh, and now the crowd is finally into it." It's like, yes, that's true. Like we weren't. The crowd was not really into that game. But I feel like I feel like I'm sticking to my guns on something I said on my show Sunday, which is, had we won the game in London, I think we wouldn't be swallowing the pill of this escaping a victory against the Giants at home to Brian Dable like we are. I think we're taking it harder because we lost in London. Like if we'd won that game, I think we'd be able to excuse away the travel a little more. Like maybe they were tired, maybe they were just off versus what the hell is going on?
Maybe, and that factors into the first game, the travel there, and
right.
Maybe they weren't acclimated to everything. So it factors in. But the thing is, that's concerning for me is that okay, yeah, we won, but for 2 weeks in a row now, in the first half and in the third quarter, so for the first 3 quarters of the game, the Buffalo Bills don't look like the Buffalo Bills. So for whatever reason that is, and I'm not saying that we're bad. Yeah, during the game, I'm just I'm tweeting and I'm ticked off and I'm talking about Ken Dorsey, but the reality is they're going to figure it out. But it's just disappointing when you watch these games and we're going against teams that we should be dominating. Like if this is how the Miami game looked, it would have been like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been a completely different conversation if this was the Miami Dolphins.
100%.
But the fact that this was the New York Giants, it gives me cause for concern because it's like, wait, if it's the Giant, like with Tyrod, and no, all respect to Tyrod. Everybody knows I love Tyrod Taylor. However, like we know what to expect out of Tyrod Taylor. The defense only gave up 9 points, 3 field goals. I have no beef with the defense, but for it to even be at a point to come to a last play where Tyrod Taylor could have won it, where they could have called interference or defensive holding, where they could have given them another opportunity.
They could have given it to Saquon because the hole was there and he could have easily, like literally, they snapped the ball and Tyrod's dropping back and Saquon fakes the handoff and the hole is there. And I'm like, oh my God. Right. And then he throws it. And I had a moment of relief. And then,
I think he was scared from the first half because he got Daboll laid into him at the end of the first half, man. Like after, he laid into him. So I think he probably was like, nope, we're sticking to the plan.
But even,
and I don't blame him.
You're agreed. And even coming off of the Jaguars game, just Steph, if there's one person who interviews on this football team from a player standpoint that I take to heart the things he says, it's Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs, when he's at the podium, you feel what he's feeling. You believe what he's saying. He's cautious in his words. Like when they ask him about the turf, he's like, I don't get to talk about stuff like that. They tell me to go play, I go play. Whereas Taron Johnson was like, we should never be playing on that field. Right. But even Steph said we didn't have we had a lack of urgency. And when you have a lack of urgency, there's a lack of execution and blah, 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 blah. So you kind of expect that stuff to be cleaned up. And then even Josh Allen in his presser today, and I know we want to talk about a little bit of that, was talking to the effect of, sometimes games like that make you realize you got to get back and focus on the things you need to focus on. And I'm like, hold up. 3 weeks ago, we throttled the Dolphins. So you guys walked out of that game and were like, we got this whole thing figured out. Like so much so that it's like, we're not going to dot I's and cross T's anymore. We're just going to go through the motions until we basically don't perform well. Then it's like, maybe we need to get back to studying. You know what I mean? Like, but then that's not what good football teams do. That's not what good football teams do.
It's not. And then he turns around and everybody know. I mean, Hump Day Hotline, Buffalo Rumblings, we are fans of Josh Allen. So we love Josh Allen. Like, I just want to make that super clear.
Josh Allen.
Like, I exactly. Like, that's where we are. We love him.
You tweet it every
However,
week.
like,
you tweet it every week.
Whether we win or lose. Like, we can lose a game. He can throw 3 interceptions. I love you, Josh. Like, I love this guy. But criticism is fair. And today he just seemed really defensive. And I get it. You want to defend your guys. Ken Dorsey is this guy. He wants to defend him. Stephon Diggs is his guy. You want to defend him. And that's fine. First of all, I'll defend Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is not the problem with the offense. Him getting targets is not the problem. The problem is other guys getting targets or other guys not getting open. You throw it to one guy. Sarah and I were texting earlier about it, and she made a good point. She's like, get open. You throw it to one guy, it's tipped and it's intercepted. You throw it to another guy. I love Gabe Davis. He's fumbling. So at some point, then maybe Josh is like, you know what? I'm just going to throw it to Diggs.
Yeah.
Does that hurt? Yes, it does. But these guys got to start stepping up consistently for Josh. What made you just gave your
it said somebody was banned and their comments removed, and I don't understand necessarily why, but something must have been said, but it is what it is. So it looks like that person's back, but yeah, I don't know what happened. Sorry, but
I don't know what it was.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't either. But yeah, it's just a person that's here all the time. So I was like, maybe we overreacted a little bit. I guess I would know. I'm the overreaction guy. But to your point, Stephon Diggs, and I know that's another topic as well. Let's stay on the Josh Allen piece first, and then we'll get to Steph, right? Because I think we both want to talk about that too. Jerry Ostrowski, Sarah's co-host for Line to Gain, has been talking for the better part of a year about the fact that we don't lay enough blame at the feet of where sometimes the blame belongs. And there's an aspect of last year, I think, that you, me, hobbyist content creators like ourselves, the Bills media guys, everybody in the national media, nobody really wanted to kind of put the blame on Josh, unless Josh said, my team can't win if the quarterback plays like crap. Like, if I'm the problem, we can't win, which he started doing a little bit last year. And then this year, you know what I'm saying? Like, really kind of putting it on him.
No,
this year,
because I got beat up.
Year,
wait, I'm just saying. Let me stand on business on that. I got beat up about that, especially after the Bengals game. I got beat up on that.
I'm talking before the playoff game.
I'm just saying, the interceptions. I went in on the fact that in the red zone, he's turning the ball over way too much. He was doing things that he shouldn't have. So I mean, no, I laid in on him, and again, I still tweeted every week. I loved him, but
this year's been a little different. Yeah, criticism's fair, but this year it's been a little bit different. This year, more people are kind of leaning in on that, and I feel like the media is leaning in on that. I mean, for God's sakes, all I said after the Jaguars game was, injuries and coaching aside, which means that they're part of the problem. Josh Allen was off the mark. We need to put some of the blame on Josh, because the first 3 quarters of that Jaguars game was largely on him not giving his receivers the ability to do anything after the game, or choosing the wrong receivers, of which you backed me up and of which I got trashed, drug hard. It to the point where it's even coming out this week. People are like, oh yeah, you said that last week about whatever.
Well, you know what? Because people only look at stats. He had 359, 2 touchdowns, and okay, he did
in the last 4 minutes of the game.
Of them in the right. So it's wait, that doesn't mean he had a good game. He had a great quarter. But let's talk about the game.
He didn't have a great quarter. He had a great 4 minutes as far as that goes. And then this week as well, the offense is not sputtering, but not necessarily able to execute the way that they need to. I just don't necessarily know what he expects from us. Does he expect us to be it's a win, which maybe we need to be in that camp of, hey, wins are hard to come by in the NFL, and sometimes you're going to get your butt kicked. You're going to get. We lived in that space a couple of years ago. The Bills are now in a situation where we're going to get the best from every opponent, right? And obviously, Dable knows the Bills. I don't think he knows the Bills as well as people want to say he knows the Bills. Yes, it's his offense and his base, but it's not the same offense he ran anymore. This offense is morphed. Go ahead.
And let's just be honest too. A lot of times, yes, let's give honest credit to coaching, but let's also be honest and say it comes down to just man lining up across from the next man. Yeah. And the Buffalo Bills are a more talented team than the New York Giants. Yeah, top to bottom. So the expectation to this game, to me, it's not even about coaching. It's not about Brian Daboll being, having knowledge of who Josh is and having knowledge of Daboll or Ken Dorsey's system. To me, that's not it. It's about exactly what everybody is talking about. The conversation of we weren't focused. The effort just wasn't quite there initially, and whatever. Yeah. That's what it was. Because the Bills are, come on, we know that, better, right?
To your point, and people can butt me with the comment I'm about to make, right? However, for 4 years, and John Fina will say it, he says it all the time. For 4 years, the Buffalo Bills on offense ran 4 plays. 4. People couldn't stop them. I mean, yes, people did at the last game of the season, but by and large, you knew what they were going to do against you. And because they manned up and they beat the guy across the line of scrimmage from them, they ran basically 4 plays every game for 4 years and just annihilated people because they knew what they could do and what they wanted to do. And they beat the guy across the line of scrimmage. as far as Josh Allen, I think the part that I have a problem with is him coming to the media and saying, I don't have an opinion on what people think. I don't read Twitter. I've gotten off of Instagram, blah, 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 blah. And then when a press guy, a Bills beat reporter says to him, people seem to be having an issue with or taking, yada, yada, as the way the offense has been playing recently. And he then makes the comment, well, there's a lot of at-home offensive coordinators that seem like they know more about this than we do when they don't know the play call. They don't know the blocking assignments. They don't. And I think that's garbage. I think that's literally garbage. Yes, we don't know, but you've set a bar, right? You've set a standard. Not only Josh, but this team has set a standard for what we are to expect. And you can't come out and say a win or a loss like that puts us in a situation where we realize we need to pay more attention to the details, and then out the other side of your mouth say, well, none of you know what you're talking about because you're not offensive coordinators and you don't do this for a living and you don't know the play calls or what's going on, right? Does that make sense? So because in one side you're admitting it. On one side you're going
100%.
We got a problem. On the other side, he's going, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, which is it?
You're lashing out. Now you're lashing out at the media, your fans, just the people who are critiquing you. And here's the thing. Criticism does not mean that guys that again, we preface this by saying we love him. You know what I mean? But
love Josh Allen.
This is one of those things that right now, look, first 3 quarters, they didn't look good. Last week, first 3 quarters, they didn't look good. Just because I don't play football in the National Football League doesn't mean I can't watch the game and say, oh, they didn't score points in the first 3 quarters. That's bad. I'm used to the Bills. And you just said it. They set an expectation. Josh said it in his presser today. We want to score every time we touch the ball. Yep. We've seen the Bills actually have games where they've scored every time. They didn't punt. They didn't punt. So
they've had more than one no punt game. They've had more than one.
They had more than one. So you can't give us this expectation of what the offense is supposed to look like with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, James Cook, Dawson. You can't give us this offense and then say, well, it's a lot of coach offensive. Josh, come on, man. We love you. We just have these expectations that you set. You came in here and decided to be a beast. You started jumping over linebackers and scoring touchdowns and making us understand how good it is to have an offense that's amazing again. We didn't have it. We had EJ, all due respect, we had EJ Manuel, and we had offenses that we were happy to get the win. Yeah. Now we're not happy to get the win because we know what Josh Allen is like.
Yeah.
Come on. You got to love us, Josh. Love us back. Don't do that to us.
To your point, Tyrod Taylor being one of those guys. And I would venture to say 2 things. Number one, it's surprising to me how noticeable the step is that Tyrod has lost. Because if you remember 7 years ago when he was here, the way he would run and use his legs was Josh Allen-esque, Mike Vick-esque, like beat you with his legs. And oh, by the way, had he not lost that step, we were probably having a different conversation right now, because the times that he broke away from the pocket, he was caught, and he would not have been caught if it was Tyrod 7 years ago. Like,
for sure.
Yeah. But Tyrod is Tyrod, but yet it's just, and it goes back to the other topic as well, getting back to Stephon Diggs. Right. So, Josh Allen, they asked him in his post-game presser, why did Stephon Diggs get targeted 12 times in the first half or whatever? He's like, well, he was open. Which then parlays into that conversation, that question, is Stephon Diggs getting targeted too much? There's definitely too little. We saw too little Stephon Diggs the last 6-7 games of the season last year, including the playoffs. There's definitely too little. Is there too much? I guess is the question that I would ask you, and then I'll respond with my thoughts.
I think that there can be a too much if it's literally a force feeding thing. So if it's literally just like, okay, I'm not going to pay attention to anybody and I'm just going to target Steph. I can see how some people probably feel like that, because there were a couple plays where Steph wasn't quite open and Josh was like, nope, Steph's my guy. He's down there somewhere. Right. Yep. So exactly. So I can see that. But again, one of the things that I'm seeing is that week to week, there's an inconsistency when it comes to how guys play. Go and look at Dawson Knox's receptions and yardage. He hasn't hit 25 yards in a game. Go and look at Kincaid's. He's been the better tight end, but he hasn't been great. I think his best outing was 46 yards, which is good for a rookie tight end. But we've preached this 12 personnel, and we've preached how much we're going to use both of these guys. And one guy hasn't had over 25 yards, and the other hasn't touched 50. So when we're talking about like, okay, is Diggs being targeted too much? How about this is where the criticism of Dorsey comes. It's not that we're saying Dorsey is bad. We understand that we have the third most points, but again, those came in 3 games. But we understand that we have the third most points. The thing is, with those third most points, how about Dorsey? Let's call up some plays where Josh is option. Like I get it. He has progressions that he goes through, but call a play where his option is Dalton Kincaid, where it's like, no, this is Kincaid's route. We know he's going to win this every single time that we see this coverage on defense. Let's put it. Get him the ball. Like do things to give guys the ball. Because when it comes down to it, when we're going the way it's going, Steph is and you look at the last 4 games, he's had 100+ yards because he's had all of these targets, and he's going to do that all season. He's going to end up with 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns, and he's going to be top 3 wide receiver this season. But I need to see Gabe Davis. I need to see, and he has good games.
Trent
good games.
Deontay Hardy.
I need to see Trench. I need to see him. I need to see Khalil Shakir. I need to see James Cook. I love the run game. I need to see them get him more involved in the pass game. I just need to see more creativity that we were seeing at one point last year. At the beginning of the season last year, man, I was so in love with the Bills offense. That first 3-4 games of the year last season, I was in love. Like, dude, if we could have just maintained that type of, and now I get it. Josh hurt his elbow, so it was a little more difficult for him to throw those intermediate. I get it. But man, tell me it wasn't perfect. It was the perfect offense.
It was great. There seems to be something missing from this offense, and dare I say, excuse me, it feels very much like the only person that Josh trusts is Stephon Diggs in this offense, which is a problem, right? I mean, whether it's the only person that Josh trusts to catch the ball, to be in the right spot, to run the right route, right? There was a nuance, and there was just another level of unspoken communication between Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, and Cole Beasley. And then you added Dawson Knox kind of into that mix, and Dawson played well as well, where they just, from a nuanced standpoint, and I said this on my show, I said this on the Phoenix show, and I don't know that anybody gets it. I'm not saying Peyton came back to me and was like, the Bills are actually leading the league in third down percentage, completely third down conversions. I'm like, great, that's not what I'm talking about. When it was 3rd and 15, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 17, 3rd and 22, Josh Allen would drop back, and when he let the ball go, it wasn't even an expectation. I knew the person that was about to catch the football was open and was going to catch the football every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Josh was throwing, if it's 3rd and 22 and Josh is doing this, that person is open. And it's a first down. And now when it's 3rd and 8, I'm like, I don't know that he's going to be able to find an open receiver on this team that isn't named Stephon Diggs.
Well, guess what? When you look at the offensive output for the last 2 games, there hasn't been. We've punted the ball. We haven't scored. So again, this is where the criticism comes from, because what you're talking about is absolutely right. There were 3rd and 22. You see Josh wind up, man. Cole Beasley, first down.
Right.
Bring that.
Somebody said that this week. I can't remember who was it. Somebody said it, and I didn't mean to clap back necessarily, but somebody was like, oh, you know what Josh really needs is somebody that can get open, consistently 5 to 7 yards. I'm like, oh, Cole Beasley, the same guy we were missing last year. So what you're telling me is this offense is still missing somebody to live in that role, right? That Cole Beasley role, because Cole made this offense go.
Yeah, I'm just talking crap. I'm talking crap. I know his contract. I'm just talking.
Yeah. What's wild about that whole situation is even in the Giants game, what's not being talked about, and I said it briefly on one of the shows that I did, was that what was also missing was in the Giants game was they didn't take anything that the defense just gave them. There were no just like dump offs to the flat, like all of that. Like, we're just going to take what the defense gives us, which they have done all season. They did not do in that football game. They
Every
didn't do
time
it.
they do it, they're blowing the other team out. And then, the other thing that this is the thing that gets me too. Josh Allen leads the league in every category when it comes to play action passing. Play action passing. Like, but then we'd go 2 games in a row where we don't even do it. Like, he's perfect. His quarterback rating is literally 153. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Why are we not putting him in the situations where he's perfect? Like, I get it. He's good and great in so many ways. Put him where he's perfect, man. Like,
did you see Ken Dorsey's? I don't remember who asked him the question. I responded to the tweet. Ken Dorsey's answer to if there were plays that I think it was the one. There were plays he'd like to have back, and he just kind of like just didn't know what to say.
You remember the tweet when like Trump was talking and they made it like into a song? It was like Songlify or something like that.
Yes,
they got to do that Ken Dorsey thing, and that I'm going to try to find it and do.
There's an aspect of like, you understand, 4th and inches work, or 3rd and inches works. Historically, 3rd and inches has worked with this offense because Josh Allen was going to run the football. And if he didn't run the football, there was the threat that he was going to run the football, which made 3rd and inches work in the shotgun. 3rd and inches is not working in the shotgun now because defenses are like, you're going to run the football, and it won't be with that guy, which comes to another conversation. What's that?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. But I mean, it's also the way we run the football too.
Right.
It's 3rd and 1. Instead of handing it off, just go straight up the gut. You're going to do this delayed dumbass pitch. Yeah. Oh my God. What is, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is that?
But not trying to change the subject, but going down a different road. At the end of the day, we're not running Josh Allen strategically now because we don't want him to. Meanwhile, the last 2 times he's gotten injured in the pocket, not running the football. So, including this last game when he hurt his shoulder. There's something to be said for what this offense is with Josh Allen running the football and kind of bringing that element to it and what it does to the rest of the field. And I said on my show, and Trish ripped it down as kind of like a short video for me, and I was a little bit embarrassed about it because I never know, like, I don't get the opportunity to tell her like what I want her, like what take I want her to do. She just, and I told her when I hired her, look, whatever I say, whatever you think that whatever you think the take is for that weekend, rip it down, put it out there. And she put the thing out there about, I simply just said, we've seen Josh Allen make amazing plays with his arm, with his legs. And now it seems like they're turning him into a game manager. And I feel like it's affecting the rest of the game. It's no longer go out there and be dangerous. It's now go out there and just make the right play. And I don't know that necessarily works with who he is. And I understand that I'm the guy. Joe Miller is the guy that said week 1, maybe letting Josh be Josh is a bad thing. So I don't know where to fall in all this, but it's clear that letting Josh be Josh is a bad thing, and just making Josh be mechanical, which we talked about in a text group, right? Be mechanical. I don't know that that's a good idea either.
See, I don't know if I like the mechanical because, like, we're saying it's bad, but is it? Like, we've been to the AFC Championship, we've lost to the Chiefs in the divisional round, which was the Super Bowl that one year to me, the 13 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, it was the best game of the playoffs. Then you're talking about, like, the Bills have been 13-3, 14. Like, the Bills have been good when Josh has been Josh. So I get it. He has turnovers. I get it. But at the same time, with those turnovers, it's because he's taking those chances and we're scoring the ball. What we're seeing these last couple of weeks, whether it's because the guys are tired, whether it's because they're not focused on the details like they said in the pressers, whatever the reason is, we're not seeing Josh be that guy. And like you said, they're absolutely taking the run away from him. And when that threat of Josh Allen running over people is not there, the defense is more comfortable to try. Now, it hasn't worked the entire season, but these last 2 games, the Giants kept us to 14 points. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And there's nothing. I mean, the one dude played out of his mind, right? He played the game of his career. Okika, whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. I apologize. Yeah, there's something going on. That's schematically. It is what it is. Josh Bill's Fever says Josh has too much talent to be acting like Trent Edwards out there. It's absolutely true. Like yes, 100%. There's just something going on schematically with what they're trying to get him to do, or trying to make him do, or him trying to stay calm. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance between sugar high, hair on fire, 9,000 miles an hour, Tom Cruise, Maverick, right guy versus, I'm not even going to say Kirk Cousins, because sometimes the guy that we see is like the last 2 games, he hasn't even been Kirk Cousins. Like Kirk Cousins has more emotion than Josh has had the last 2 games. There's got to be a balance between it. There's got to be the ability to flip the switch. There's got to be a time when it's like.
Does that bother you?
What's that?
In his presser, Josh actually said that, and I wish I had the clip ready. In his presser, Josh said, I got to maintain. I know guys look at me, and I have to maintain and getting back to like enjoying myself out there and having fun. And over the summer, there was a lot of criticism about certain things that was going on and what he was doing on and off the field as far as commercials. I'm not criticizing the commercials, but a lot of people were questioning whether or not he was into it. And he came out and said, I'm more focused on football now than I've ever been. And I took him for his word. A lot of us took him for his word. But now you fast forward to going into week 7, and he's saying, yeah, I gotta work on, like, being happy again, playing the game. I don't want to misquote him. That's why I said I wish I had the quote ready, but that was the setup.
I remember the point you're talking about. And when he said that, Josh has gone through a lot in the last 9 months. Yeah. So between everything that happened last year with the team, DeMar, at the end of the day, a very, very long relationship in his life has ended. And I think what we lose sight of sometimes, and this is what I was thinking when he said that, is the dude's 26. Do you remember when you were 26? I'm 50. You're a lot closer to 26 than I am. Mm-hmm. Like, my emotions swung with the wind. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like, and if there was a bad breakup, and I know he's got a new love interest that's kind of like blossoming and beaming, but I could even imagine the weight that he has to carry, right? Week in and week out, year to year, being the face of not only a franchise in the NFL, the probably the greatest organization in this country, as far as like when you look at what it does, the money that it makes, blah, 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 never loses a dollar, ever. When you talk about earnings reports, the NFL does one thing straight up, right? They just make money. It's a casino is all it is. And at the same time, not only is he the face of that, but he's the face of an entire city. And oh, by the way, he has a relationship that ended kind of badly. And I don't any man worth his salt, and I'm going to say that any man worth his salt that has a relationship that ends, he feels it. Even if it has to end, he still feels it, right?
And it was public. It was super public. Like the way, Buffalo, we're the type of town, it's like everybody who knows her and knows him, like it's a small town, so it felt a whole lot heavier as well. It's not your typical breakup where it's just really you and your circle of friends. It was like every time you're on Instagram, every time you're on TMZ, every time you're on Twitter, all you see is Josh Allen and girlfriend, and Josh Allen new girlfriend, and it's just like, this guy can't live a life. He can't process his life on any level personally, and it has to suck, man. Like it has to suck.
All of that to say that this is the first time he's in this situation as a Buffalo Bill, as a professional quarterback, where he's basically going home to an empty house, because Britt was always there, right? So regardless of how the relationship was going, he was going home to home, and now home is a little different. So all that to say, it feels like things are getting back to football, getting back to his passion, getting back to all the stuff, which is all the stuff that you said. It feels like something is just not uncorrectable, just maybe a little bit off. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. And I think both of us can agree that going forward, like, we expect the team the team is good. We have the pieces. We have the guys on offense. We're healthy, and hopefully that stays the same throughout the year. We just have to figure out a couple things that we're not connected on. It's gonna get better. And I think this week, I think the next 2 games, I think, are good games for it to happen.
This is a great transition going to the Patriots game. I mean, this is a get right game. Yes, it just feels to me like we have the pieces, but I texted you a couple weeks ago and you were like, I'm not sure that I agree with that. They just don't feel consistent enough to be like one of those teams. It just feels like they're not as consistent as they used to be. Now they're just a team that middles around, wins good games, has great pieces, versus being a team that's like, no, that team's going to kick your ass and they're going to beat everybody every week. Mm-hmm. That's just who they are. That's who they were. They're not really that now. And I'm not saying that they can't catch fire week 12 and make a run and win the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. And maybe that's what they're trying to gear up for. Maybe they're trying to put the pieces in place so that they get hot at week 13, right? We're going to get into playoffs. We'll get hot at week 13. We'll make a run. We'll do what we're supposed to do. Bang, it'll be done, versus being dominant and running out of gas at the end. I don't know. It's just a weird, unsettling place for us as Bills fans, I feel like, compared to where we've been starting in 2020, when it was like, holy crap, this team is really good. And that quarterback is amazing.
That's what happens when you become a consistently winning organization. Patriots fans weren't always insufferable. You know what I mean? Like, they went through a decade and a half or almost 2 decades of Tom Brady being amazing and winning Super Bowls for a quarter of the time that he was there.
Right.
And when you win that much, you get used to it. And Bills fans are now starting to get used to winning. So, it's one of those things where it's like, look, when you got spoiled kids, it's because you spoiled them. Josh, it's your fault, bro. Like, I'm just saying, he can't get mad. You can't get mad that the fans have an expectation.
The reason I want Starbucks is because you bought me Starbucks every day.
Every time I got any of my dogs with me and they see Starbucks, they expect a puppuccino. They expect it because I spoil them. That was on me. So I can't get mad when it's like, okay, all right, just saying. But these Patriots,
chest cold.
I'm sorry,
and you're making me laugh. This is absolutely.
I'm sorry.
That's the best segment. That's the best segment this show has had in 4 years, right there. Every time I go to Starbucks,
ain't it true though?
It is true.
It's true. It's like, come on, Josh. Like, I don't think we're even asking for anything like that's outrageous here. We're saying that something that he said himself, like, we expect to score the ball every time we score. We're not going to score every time we get the ball. So we have to just fix the things to be more efficient. Nobody is expecting the Bills every game to score 50 points, 60 points. We don't expect that, but we expect more to 14 against the New York Giants. We expect you to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
14 points in the first half of both of those games. I expect 14 points in the first half, right? I mean,
you are absolutely right. Yeah, you are absolutely right.
I don't expect bagels, like 0.
No.
Like, a Josh Allen quarterback team should never score 0 points in a half.
6 quarters, 5 bagels, man. 5 bagels.
It's crazy. Speaking of bagels, let's move on to, real quick, as we're closing in on the end of the show. That was great, by the way. That was great. The Buffalo Bills are headed to New England to face the New England Patriots. And not only did the Patriots go 30 drives without finding the red zone, which is amazing. Like, that's amazing. There's a lot of conversation and talk about Bill Belichick tarnishing his legacy. I made the statement to, I don't remember who it was I tweeted back at. It was either Kyle Brandt or somebody like that, like, I'm just going to say it, that I feel like Bill Belichick is not the greatest head coach like in NFL history. It might be Mike Tomlin, who has never registered a season under 500 and has made chicken salad out of chicken crap not his entire career, but a lot. The Bills are rolling into New England, and I expect nothing less than for them to Sterling Furrow dog walk them. Yes?
Absolutely. I mean, we're 5-1 over our last 6 meetings. After Tom Brady left, the Bills took over the division, and the Patriots the dominance just left when Tom Brady left. And at this point, I know Miami is still first in the division for a week. I think they're going to lose to the Eagles. I think we're going to win. Things are going to flip-flop, whatever. It's early in the season, but the Patriots, they're in the basement of the division at this point. So I expect Stephon Diggs to have
the NFL. The Texans are better than the Patriots.
They might be looking for the first overall pick. They might be fighting for that first overall pick. And that's insane to think about. A Bill Belichick coached team, the Patriots, are in conversation for that number 1 overall pick. But it's a lot of interesting storylines, though, because what happened to Ramondre Stevenson? Like, he was my favorite. I know it's blasphemy to say favorite Patriot last year, but I loved watching the way he ran the ball. Along with Judon on defense. I know some Bills fans think that he's dirty. He's a great player. The guy, he did his thing. So, what happened? I know Judon's injured, but I mean, Stevenson fell off a cliff. What the heck happened to Mac Jones? He wasn't great, but he wasn't like, what are we seeing over the last couple of weeks?
Well, let's keep in mind that, they've got a new offensive coordinator in O'Brien, right? O'Brien's back. So there's an aspect of who knows what they're trying to change. But I mean, there's conversation about Mac Jones not even making it through the complete game last week, maybe not making it through a complete game this week. There's conversations about who the Bills might even see. Like, did the Patriots know what Mac Jones is going to give them against the Buffalo Bills? And do they pull a fast one at the last minute and throw a different quarterback out there? Like, I mean, are they grasping at straws that much is kind of the question we're at right now, but it's just a bad football. I mean, I'm sure you saw Rex Ryan's cut, right?
No.
Did you see You did not see Rex Ryan's cut? Oh my gosh. I wonder if I can find it. I don't know if I can find it. Rex Ryan.
I don't even know if I want to like, go ahead.
No, Rex Ryan just had a conversation just about like, on the Patriots, as far as like who they are right now. And I don't know if I can find it, but I'll see what I can do. But, give me a second. So what are your expectations? Oh, here it is right here. Look at that. It came right up. Let me see if I can present. Yes, is what I want. And then I want share screen. Look at me being old man guy here. So here we go. Yeah, right.
Here's your number one takeaway from this team sucks. Like, that's I'm telling you, they stink. They absolutely stink. Where's the fight? Where's the energy? Where's the passion? Yeah. Like, I don't see it, dude. I don't see it.
So now I don't know how to get rid of this screen because I'm old.
I love Rex, man. I love Rex so much. Like, he was horrible as a head coach in Buffalo, but on TV, I'm telling you, he's gold. They need to give him his own show. I know he has a podcast. He needs a show. Like, that guy needs a show. He's incredible.
Sucks. This team
sucks.
So,
and then Josh comes out today, and I know you don't want to give bulletin board material, but this is a very tough team, and we know, Josh, come on, man, you got those expectations. I want to see them this week, man.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into predictions and whatnot, let's real quick. What are your expectations from this football team this weekend? And then I'll give you mine. Bills to Patriots. Bills versus Patriots.
So as far as game plan.
Yeah, just what are you expecting to see? I mean, I don't want to lead into the stuff that I'm going to say and then take. Yeah, so
I got you. So offensively, I expect to see somewhat of the game plan that the Buffalo Bills used against the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Just the defense is beat up. I think today, it's Wednesday. So for those listening on podcasts, this is being done Wednesday night. They had like 20 guys that was either not practicing or practicing in limited capacity on the injury report in New England today. Like, that's insane. They're beat up.
Wow.
And the Buffalo Bills are beat up too, but the Buffalo Bills having our beat up roster is a whole lot better when you got Poona Ford as your defensive tackle versus some of the guys that the Patriots have.
And I know it was supposed to be a topic, but when you've got Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard playing, like, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but wow, there's probably an opportunity for us to talk about these two guys feeding off of each other. But go ahead.
You know what? I'll say real quick, because I said it on Code of Conduct. I'll say it again here on Hump Day Hotline. I was 100% wrong. We will not, and we do not miss Tremaine Edmonds.
Same.
I love Tremaine Edmonds. Y'all know how much I love Tremaine Edmonds. I'm going to always root for him. But look, the Buffalo Bills did a good job drafting a guy I thought was undersized and I thought couldn't play the position. Two guys. They drafted two guys that was undersized. Matt Milano goes down with an injury. To me, the linebacker position was going to be in shambles. I was wrong. I'm going to just tell you right now. Okay. Sean McDermott is like the Pied Piper of linebackers. I don't know what it is. This guy just he's amazing when it comes to. I mean, he gets the best linebacker or guys play at the linebacker position out of their minds when they're in the Sean McDermott system. So no, bravo to the Bills. I was wrong, and I look, go Bills. Like, for real. Like, you can't say anything else.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to your expectations for this football game. Did you finish up?
Well, yeah. So, no, I was just saying. I think so. What we talked about in a way there. I know you just said we don't want to see Josh be a game manager, but I think they're going to not necessarily make him a game manager, but he's going to take what the defense gives him. I think it's going to be one of those games like that. Even Miami, I don't feel like he really pressed the issue in that game. I feel like Miami was trying to be aggressive in some areas, and we just kind of exploited where they were doing too much.
I got to back you up. I feel it's not about game managing and letting Josh be Josh. I feel like you should go into every football game, unless you're playing the Chiefs or the Eagles, wanting Josh to be a game manager. And then there's a moment in the game potentially where you're like, we're going to let the dogs loose. Josh, go F some stuff up. Right? I mean, shouldn't it just be that? Like, isn't that the game plan for every week? We're playing the Lions this week. Josh, we want you to game manage, take what the defense gives you. And if we find ourselves down by 13 points, go F some shit up.
No, see, to me, I want you to F shit up from the very beginning. Come out the gate and beat these dudes down so that way Josh and Steph can sit in the fourth quarter. Like, I want guys to play less throughout the season so that when you start taking quarters away because you are up by 4 touchdowns going into the fourth. So Josh, like at the beginning of last season, he didn't play the fourth quarter against the Titans. The next game, that next week, he didn't play the fourth quarter against whoever it was. Let's start taking guys out the lineup in the fourth. So come out the gate and just beat these dudes down. That's what I want to see every week.
Yeah. Matt Bynum says, what do we think of Steve Smith blasting Jerry Jeudy? First of all, Jerry Jeudy deserved it. Steve Smith is a Hall of Fame wide receiver, period. And when that dude talks, if your name is Jerry Jeudy and you haven't made the Hall of Fame yet, you listen to what Steve Smith says.
And the thing is, as an analyst, Steve Smith, as a wide receiver analyst, like as one of the best wide receivers to play the game of all time, as a wide receiver analyst, there's not many times that I've ever heard him be wrong about a wide receiver.
It even goes even further than that. He was counted out as he wasn't even a wide receiver. He was a special teams guy that they threw it out at wide receiver because they had nobody else. He was a monster. He was an absolute monster.
And the thing is, I understand that some people might not understand the type of like love that he gets. It's a little aggressive. Some people might not get it, but Steve Smith loves on these guys around the NFL. If you talk to any of those guys, they'll tell you like Steve Smith will go and help out any wide receiver from any team. He critiques their tape. He gives them pointers on how to be better. And this was just one of those situations where Jerry Jeudy was being immature and he couldn't take some constructive criticism.
Yep.
And he got in his feelings. And this Steve Smith, I mean, hey, he let him have it for real. And I applaud him. I get it. Some people probably look at it like that was not the way to do it on national TV or whatever. Look, if Jerry Jeudy could show himself the way he did on national TV while they were doing that segment, I'm gonna get him. I'm just
one of the greatest spots in TV history, sports TV history for me. It was an NFL network just commercial about the NFL, and it's Steve Smith, cameras in his face, and he's like, and it's a sideline bit, but it's like it's replaying that, and I don't know if you remember, but he's like, it's awful quiet over there on that sideline. They're reading up on Steve Smith, and I was like, yes, sir.
They should.
That dude should. And they should be reading up on Steve Smith. That's exactly right. I don't know that I necessarily disagree with anything you said as far as expectations for this game.
Defense.
I just don't.
What are your expectations there?
Defense, I find it hard pressed for the Patriots to score in this football game. The Bills defense is playing well, right? And that's what's getting lost in all of this is, we're criticizing the offense as much as we are, but I think, the complimentary part of the football is not happening. And Josh did that in his post game, like breakdown of the team. Hey, you all carried us. Thank you. We need to do better. They owned it, which was great. This defense is playing lights out right now.
Lights out. I don't have any complaints about like there's like plays here or there, but you're gonna have game or plays during games.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I have no complaints on the defense. PFF, you're crazy. Whoever did that ranking on my guy Ed Oliver this week, there's no way you watched that and felt like he was a 36.2 or whatever it was. Insane.
Yeah.
We got to chill on the penalties though. We really got to chill on penalties.
Well, they need to stop throwing flags, but I think it's time for the train horns.
You ready?
There it is.
This Joe, this is when I give our Josh Allen stat line and our game prediction or our score prediction. Joe just kind of almost told you. He said he don't think they're gonna score. So, I want to know what your. Well, let's start with Josh Allen like we normally do. So when it comes, let's get your Josh Allen stat line. Let us know what you think his yards and touchdowns and all that stuff will be, and then after that, we're gonna move on to a game score prediction. So, Joe, let me hear it.
I think Josh Allen does what he does against the Patriots. I think he eats in this football game. There's just something about getting up. I think Foxborough, much like Hard Rock Stadium, is a second home for him. He does not have the trouble against the Patriots and the Dolphins that he has against the Jets for whatever reason that is. Obviously, it's the defensive scheme and the players that he has to face. But I got Josh at about 345 in this game. He's probably pushing 70% completions, whether it's 68 or it's 72. And more than likely 4 touchdowns. Everybody that has been texting me from work that basically are not Bills fans tell me that, that they're giving me a hard time because Josh is their quarterback on their fantasy team and he's been sucking lately. I'm like, the dude had 2 touchdowns. What do you want from him? I think they're all going to be pleasantly happy getting back into the win column in their fantasy teams this week. So for me, 340, like 4 touchdowns, maybe one is a rushing touchdown and about 68% completions.
I'm gonna agree with you on everything except I'm gonna say it's gonna be like 76% completion. I think it's gonna be one of those games where he's taking what's easy and then he's hitting Gabe and Steph in stride. Like it's gonna be ridiculous. And then, like I said, they got JC Jackson back. Please tell me a time that JC Jackson has ever been able to cover Stephon Diggs even with a blanket. He has not been able to do it.
I was floored by that. I heard that on the radio yesterday or today. They were like, JC Jackson will be covering Stephon Diggs. I was like, he's a Charger. How did I miss JC Jackson going back to the Patriots? What happened?
I think it was last week or the week before. He was inactive and it was a bunch of drama out there. Like they refused to play him, so he was confused by that, so he requested to be traded. They sent him back to New England. And then I don't know if you saw McCole Hardman got traded back to the Patriots. I mean, back to the Chiefs.
I did not see that.
So, I mean, it's just a bunch of reunited, and it feels so good for those guys. Hopefully it works, but it's just like, it's all craziness. Like what you go back, it works out for the teams that got rid of them in the first place because now they have them back on cheaper contracts, both of them.
Well, it doesn't really work out for the Patriots because Stephon Diggs owns JC Jackson.
Right.
Owns that man.
Please tell me when he's ever been able to cover him. He's never been able to cover him.
So then I'm going to let you go first on the score prediction, and then we'll get up on out of here.
I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills when it's going to be like, I'm trying to be somewhat nice. It's going to be like 35-6. I'll give them the two field goals.
I like that score. I think Bass has a rebound week, so I'm going to give Bass 2 field goals. I'm going to say 34-6, right? So that gives Josh with his 4 touchdowns and then Bass with 2 field goals, all of his extra points. Before I get us out of here, I feel like we need to call off the Isaiah Hodgins bet, and this is why. So I don't feel like from what I've watched this season from that Giants offense, I don't feel like from what I watched this in this last game, sitting in the stands, watching just the personnel groupings, if Isaiah Hodgins does not reach what did we say the expected was? 380 or 400 yards, I think is what you talked about.
It was around 400, yeah.
I don't think this is a situation of Isaiah Hodgins. They've got a quarterback problem, and they've got a scheme problem. I think there's an issue there that goes deeper than the opportunity or the ability for us to find out if somebody can become something. Does that make sense to you? Like it feels like Daniel Jones is a problem, right? And Tyrod Taylor is not the answer to Daniel Jones either. I just feel like I don't know that this is necessarily a fair bet, not because Isaiah is not producing. There's just an aspect of like there's not a quarterback over there.
I would agree with that, but the only thing is then I would have to allow Casey out of our bet because Anthony Richardson got injured. So I have to be consistent. So I can't agree because then I would have to.
Anthony Richardson they came out today and said that he's done for the year.
Right. So we had a bet going on that he would hit a certain yardage. And on the show, I'm like, well, no, injury counts as well. He's like, no, that's not fair. And I was like, look, it's part of the game. Either you're going to trust that he's going to be there for the season and he's gonna. And then so when it happened, I sent the tweet immediately to him. I'm like, so when are we doing this, man? He has to dye his hair hot pink for the show. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a good time. But so the only reason why I'm saying I can't agree is because if I allow this one to be like, okay, no for injury or no for quarterback, I would have to go back on that.
Well, just remember when you're entering your credit card information into DH Gate for that Isaiah McKenzie jersey that I gave you an out.
No, I won. What do you mean?
You haven't won yet? You haven't won yet?
He's not going to get He's not going to hit the yards.
It ain't, dude, it's week 7, bro. It ain't over yet.
So we're basically almost halfway there. How many yards does he have?
Does
he have 100 so far?
I don't even.
And I'm not being funny when I asked that. I'm not being mean. I would like to see.
No, you're not
being. I made the bet.
You're definitely.
I just feel like they're not. Like one game I saw, and really, did he even get a target this last game? I don't even think he got a target.
He did not. He did not. By the way,
I had a bet, just so everybody know, this is how much we really do actually believe in Isaiah Hodgins. We put a bet in on DraftKings.com. Shout out to my family over at DraftKings.com. But we put a bet in where Isaiah Hodgins was, what was it, like plus 1,500 to score a touchdown?
It was 1,000.
It was, and so we made a bet. We actually bet on that together, thinking hey, we could absolutely see him try to score in this game. But
I believed in it so much I doubled down and betted it again. And I bet the first touchdown and last touchdown, that he would score the first touchdown and he would potentially score the last touchdown in garbage time.
Well, I didn't think he was going to be Randy Moss. I didn't think that.
Not that he would score both, but one or the other. But at the end of the day, I'm sitting there in that final drive, and he's on the field, and I'm like, the Bills are going to lose. Somebody tweeted it to overreaction, like the how's that game got you feeling thing. The reading of the tweets, I literally thought that somebody tweeted. I literally thought that he was going to drop back and throw the winning touchdown to Isaiah Hodgins to end the game. And I was like, that would have been awful. I'd have made like $5,000, but that'd have been awful.
Yeah, we would have really been mad on the show, but we would have been happy otherwise.
Yeah, it would have paid for that Europe trip that I just went to. But yeah, so literally after you and I went in on it, I doubled down. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, I should just put some more money onto this, and I didn't put a bunch, but I was like, yep, you got to do it, and I put.
No, but I mean, the odds were even if you put $5 on it, you're basically quadrupling your money on $5. So why not?
Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, and we never did our spot, so you are going to get the opportunity to hear from Bruce Nolan before we get you guys out of here.
It's time to say goodbye to the blur and hello to clear vision. Fichte, Endel, and Elmer are the first in Western New York to bring you Zeiss Smile technology. Along with our highly experienced surgeons, we promise an effortless journey to better vision. Gone are the days of fumbling for glasses or struggling with contact lenses. Embrace the freedom of superb sight, because we believe you deserve the world in HD. Visit us online at Fichte.com and schedule a consultation. Fichte, Endel, and Elmer. We are focused on you.
Sorry, you were saying something just as I fired that thing.
No, I was actually just going to tell you when you edit it to just throw it at the beginning, since we didn't do it. It's all good though. We could.
Oh yeah, and you put it in the private comments, and I just now saw them.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. You're way ahead of me. You're super good.
No, it's all good.
So the Hump Day Hotline brought to you by Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. For myself, for Jay Spence the King, for everybody here at Buffalo Rumblings. I got to find the outro video. Where is it? There it is. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Everybody, go Bills.
Go Bills.